Let's dive right in. Welcome to the Women's Strength Society show. Today with
Thank
the
you.
special guest, Erin Tanner. I'm
I'm so happy to be here.
yeah, I'm so happy to connect today with you and talk a little bit about your journey so far. I mean, you're just a couple days um, out of your photo shoot prep. You had your like
hmm
big day. We're definitely going to talk about that. But first off, I want to hear a little bit about who Erin actually is because I think it's so amazing that you came like 1.5 years ago to us. You had that like big goal of defined legs, and we got on this journey together. And you have been someone who is not new to this. You're doing like strength training and your macros and all of this for a pretty long time. And so I'm
hmm
very happy that we brought it to the next level. But maybe you can give us a little insight into what have you done before Women's Strength Society.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think just thinking back, weight training and working out has been a part of my life forever. So I somehow knew the importance of it and had it in my routine, sometimes, more than not. Like in university, obviously, I would take big breaks and then
Mm,
go through these periods of just like my crazy workout phases. And over time, I mean, I did, even outside of weight training, I ran marathons, I did triathlons, I participated in team sports.
yeah.
And I guess just in more recent years, probably like the past 10 years, I've had it as a staple of I've had weight training as a staple of just my working out.
Mm,
So probably, at the beginning of that, it was more CrossFit because that was the craze for everybody. But I didn't really have my nutrition in check, and I was never really happy with how my body looked. And then, I think I nailed the nutrition a little bit, but
mm,
still, I wasn't getting, I don't think I was training for the kind of body that I wanted, which
mm,
was, lean with really defined muscles. And so somebody recommended that I actually start working with like a bodybuilding coach,
mm.
which I did. I think I started that journey. So up until 3 years ago, I was really down the CrossFit path and um, that style of training. And then 3 years ago, I think August 1st, so almost exactly 3 years
Mm,
ago, started working with a bodybuilding coach with defined nutrition plan and a set workout. I'm somebody who likes to open the
yeah.
app and somebody tells me exactly what to eat, tells me how many reps, tells me which days.
Yeah.
So I had that, and that's what I was doing up until I met you. So I did see a lot of changes in my body, but as you know, I it wasn't exactly what I needed, and it wasn't changing with my needs, and I got burned out and started to, see fewer
Mm.
results. So knew I needed to change something, and so here we are.
Here
Fast
we are.
forward.
Yeah.
So I guess to summarize, I've always done something,
Mm.
but really have been dialing it in and learning what I need specifically over the past year and a half.
Cool. And when you're saying like you were like burned out from what you did before, like how did that manifest in your everyday life? Like what were like typical symptoms you would have?
Well, so it was basically like a 2 year long fat loss phase. So
Mm,
the prescribed nutrition was under my caloric needs or
mm,
like under what maintenance would be and with a pretty high volume of lifting, so lifting 5 times a week. um so it just wasn't sustainable. I did have one cheat meal, not a cheat day
mm,
per week, but that started to bleed over into the weekends. And because there was no real goal, like I haven't traditionally been somebody that wants to get on stage
Mm,
and um, compete in that way. So I was just shooting for a certain body. So
mm,
yeah, so if I had a social gathering, maybe I'd be a little bit more loose, or definitely my cheat meal on the weekend would bleed over into other meals that day or even the next day. So there wasn't um I guess I didn't have as much accountability
mm.
as I needed. And yeah, like I just it was pretty daunting to be eating in kind of a calorie deficit for 2 years. So my body rebelled.
And I definitely remember like you came to us, you were like eating 1,800, something around that. That was kind of the plan mapped out for you with the
Hmm.
5 lifting sessions. And then also I think you did back then like 5 cardio sessions on top of that.
Yes.
And I know I remember how shocked I was when you said like, "Hey, I'm on this plan for like 2 years," and I'm like, probably not all the time in a deficit, but exactly what you described. And I think that's so relatable for so many women is the typical being disciplined and pretty strict with the calorie intake from like Monday to Friday, and then being a little bit more loose on the weekend. And it starts most often with just like one meal, then it gets a little bit like from one meal it's maybe two, then it's the whole day, and it puts you kind of out of that deficit, and in total you are then across the week back at maintenance, right?
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
the body is just not changing, although you're putting so much effort into that. So restricting from Monday to Friday and then having a little bit of like the social gatherings. And I mean, you are also a very social person.
Yeah.
You say that yourself, like you just like that, you enjoy it. You're traveling a lot for work. And so there are definitely a
Hmm.
couple of challenges we had to work through. But I think the first thing that we actually changed was like, hey, we need a different phase. We need to fuel your body and actually see how much you can tolerate.
Yeah.
Do you remember how that was for you when we started working together 1.5 years ago? And the first goal was like, hey, actually, you need to train less. We dropped to like 4 sessions a week, less cardio, and increased slowly your calorie intake. How did you feel during that time?
Yeah. It seems like so long ago at this point, but I know it did. Well, I was checking in with you and you were like, it's okay to, not feel guilty about, because at that time it was okay to have, a meal out or travel for work and not have to be as strict. And but I still had this guilt with it.
Yeah.
And so it for sure was an adjustment because all of this is a lot of mental games
Hmm.
as well. But yeah, so after the initial guilt, there was kind of like freedom. And, you know, over time, I've learned what my body can do. So I'm not afraid of like body fluctuations, but
Yeah.
my body definitely did fluctuate a little bit during that time. But yeah, I learned to embrace it and just enjoy it and accept the process,
Hmm.
which is an ongoing theme and an ongoing challenge in this life.
Yeah, 100%. And I remember like, I mean, you also gained during that time a little bit of weight last year before we then started the fat loss phase, but we increased your calorie intake from like 1,800 to 2,700, which was just like
Mm.
crazy. It was like, hey, there is such a big gap between those two numbers. Being finally properly fueled and giving your body a rest from dieting was definitely, I think, one of the biggest missing pieces to then be able to pull off a photo shoot prep like you just did.
Hmm.
And same goes for the whole like mindset thing that we worked through. which I think is it's not easy to do. And I think one thing that I admire about you is that you just keep going. You're just like someone who is like, okay, even though things are maybe a little bit shitty, or you maybe feel also like failing at some point, because I think it's part of the process sometimes to have the feeling of like, is this even right what I'm doing? Or I was not
Mm,
sticking exactly to my plan. I was traveling and all those things. But you always showed up and communicated that. And that helped really, really to coach you, first off, but then also help you navigate through all those challenges. I think last year, especially, I remember a time where we did a little fat loss last year, where you were
mm,
traveling also a lot, and I think that was more so a learning phase also for you on like what works well, what is not so like what's not going to work out in the fat loss phase while being away and while being super social, and realizing like, hey, what are you actually able to do or deviate from the actual plan to get the results. And that was also the reason why I think your photo shoot prep was so successful, because you were really like dialed in and following through. And I know your body weight was like fluctuating like crazy. You're definitely
mm,
that kind of woman where it just goes like up and down and up and down. Also comes from the traveling and all those things,
mm,
which is not easy to just put on the blinders and still like do the work, not get distracted by all those fluctuations. But I think it was a
mm.
very important piece of the puzzle for you to pull that off this year, because we did that prep work last year.
Yeah.
Is that something that you have expected when you started the coaching, or did you think like, oh, we are going to, because we you sign up for like 6 months, were you expecting like, hey, we're straight going into fat loss mode and you will get that look that you're after? Do you remember even like what your expectations were?
At the beginning, when we
Yeah,
first
yeah,
started working
yeah.
together, yeah, I mean, I felt like, okay, this is a big investment I want to make in myself, and kind of what you were saying before, up until that point, I'd put in a lot of time and effort without the results that I wanted. So this was going to be different. So I was ready to, after I decided to invest in myself, I was ready to go all in. So I
Mm,
was ready to just do whatever you told me, knowing that, and that's part of why and how I was able to trust the process.
mm,
But, it did require some adjustments from my perspective. So, or my point of view. So, like you're saying, things got harder in that when we attempted to do a fat loss phase, and I needed kind of a second chance, which ultimately led up to this photo shoot prep. But I think there's just so much preparation that goes into it,
mm,
and mindset, and it's not like I was any less busy this time. It was just, okay, I'm doing this. For me, I had to accept I'm never going to have 12 weeks where I'm not traveling.
yeah,
So I have to make it work within the reality of my lifestyle.
yeah.
So that's been an ongoing theme and challenge of mine, just that I always have social commitments. It's always somebody's birthday, there's always a family
Mm,
something, there's always a work something. And I just have a lot of travel for work and personal. So it's just been something that always feels like a setback. And that's what I was experiencing towards the end of last year when
mm,
we tried to do a fat loss phase. Um, and it was just kind of like, okay, I have to live with this. And so you definitely were super supportive in yeah, encouraging me to reduce that noise. And you didn't push back and say, okay, you need to eliminate these social
Yeah,
activities or the travel. It's just, what are we going to do to make it work?
exactly.
And yeah, so that was a learning pro that took a while to learn for me. And then it was
Yeah.
like, okay, this is there, and there what, one of the realities is there's not much room for error. So, what I had to do was a lot of work and preparation, but what was required. So,
Do you remember like when I told you like, hey, I think for you having a deadline for a photo, like having a deadline for a fat loss phase and probably like maybe doing a photo shoot would be great. Like what you thought back then? Like what was your first reaction?
yeah, I think that. So I no, I vividly remember that. I can see you asking me that when we were on our first Zoom. So I think that was kind of when we did our onboarding,
Yeah.
which was a year and a half ago, January 2025. And so you said, have you ever thought about a competition or like, doing a stage competition or a photo shoot? And that's just going to provide kind of the extra motivation to not eat the cookie. Because that was my issue before. Like, one cookie's not going to do
Whatever.
anything.
Yeah.
And, and then it extends into more. So that was the first time that I thought about something like that. And really, the idea of a photo shoot was so exciting to me because,
Mm.
the idea of getting on stage and all the preps and, an actual competition didn't sound fun to me at the
Mm.
time, but a photo shoot did. And that's what we worked towards. And yeah, so and people ask me, well, what made you want to do a photo
Yeah.
shoot? And I tell them that it was your suggestion. And yeah, and I mean, it was the right thing for me because I do need a goal. And
Mm.
I, obviously we decided I was going to do a photo shoot a year and a half ago, and we've been working towards that. But, I booked and paid for my photo shoot, like, let's see, it was kind of like March or so.
Yeah.
And then at that point, and she's, the photographer that I picked she had limited
Booked
availability.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to pay her. I
Yeah.
even was thinking like, oh, maybe I should do it a little bit later, but then by then it was too late. I was gonna have to wait till September. So yeah, I mean, it worked. It's like, okay, I'm locked in. I'm not showing up to that photo shoot looking soft.
Exactly. Sometimes you just have to like pull the trigger and just do it. I also remember in my own journey, like so many situations in fitness and business, like in general in life. Sometimes you just have to put the big money down and be like, okay, I'm committed now. I'm locked in now, and I will show up
Yeah.
now because you do show up differently, right? If you know, hey,
Mhm.
I've paid for that photo shoot, I will stand there in front of a camera. The whole idea of it is to like me in a tiny bikini showing off my body. And I'm not saying everyone needs to look like absolutely shredded. She's also doing like amazing pictures with women who are maybe a little bit softer, have a softer look, not like that bodybuilding type style, like dry and really shredded. But
Mhm.
still, you need to put in the work and prep for that shoot. So maybe you can just share a little bit like your big day. Like, how was it? How did you feel? Were you nervous? Was it fun?
Yeah, I mean, I was so nervous because looking through her photos, I wanted to look like the
Yeah,
shredded ones.
yeah.
So, like leading up to it, it's a lot of stress. So I've been packing all my own food since February 1st on all of my trips and, not eating out.
Mm.
And at this point, I was just done over it. I'm so tired of these little Ziploc bags of
Yeah,
my food. So by the time I got to the week of, I was like, okay, I was like counting down the number of, I mean, I'm still doing it. But at that point, I was like, okay, I'm counting down the number of
yeah,
meals I have to eat out of a Ziploc baggie. And I could tell my body was just ready. I was kind of starting to be a little restless and
Mm.
nervous about the because I've never done anything like this.
Yeah.
I don't feel like a natural like model, or I have done a little, posing practice in the past few weeks, but really I was thinking, okay, I'm going through all of this, and what if I just look so unnatural in front of the camera? And then, I'm not somebody that gets like really excited about my hair and my makeup. That seems more like a chore, right? So
Hmm.
I had all of this stuff in the days leading up to it that I was almost I was almost like dreading it, right? And then so then but then the morning of the shoot, I showed up at the studio, and Valeria, the photographer, was just, I mean, first of all, this place was awesome. It's like in downtown LA, industrial, walking up to like a warehouse with
Nice.
individual little studios. So I walked in, and Valeria was so, warm and welcoming. She had my favorite part about this photo shoot was I didn't have to buy any outfits. She has them all there. So she had like stacks and stacks of
Nice.
Skims and different
Yeah.
outfits that I would never buy for
Yeah,
myself
exactly.
on the desk, and she immediately like jumped in and was helping me pick out what. And the best part is, as I was walking up to the warehouse, another girl that I knew must have been right before me
Yeah.
walked out, because she had like these big sweats, but she had
Yeah.
like this much of her arm showing, and I could see these veins popping out, and she
You
was
just knew.
eating out of
Yeah.
she was eating out of a glass like Tupperware as she was walking down the street. I'm like,
And you were
okay.
like, okay, I get you. I feel
I was,
you.
yeah, I was like, I know this. So
Yeah.
I walk in, yeah, we picked out the outfits, and when you guys see my photos, the first thing I pulled on was like this pink one piece. And it was like, yes, because I had the spray tan and the
Mm.
color looked great. And she's like, okay, well, she's like, all of the outfits that you try on, you have to be as excited about. So basically, everything I tried on, I used. So I felt super good about the outfits. And then, she lathered me in oil, which, makes you feel
Yeah.
a certain way. And then, yeah, like the shooting just flowed. So, the little bit of posing work that I did really helped engage like my back and certain muscles.
Mm.
And so, like I said, I had never considered really competing on stage before, but she's like, wow, you should compete on stage. She's like, your presence is, you seem like a natural at this. And actually the girl that was walking out right before me, she was competing in 1 week after the photo shoot. So it made
Mm.
me think like, shoot, all of this work, I should have done both. I should have done the photo
Next
shoot.
time we can definitely do that. 100%.
Yeah.
Because one thing I also wanted to ask you about is like you already mentioned that you have some goals for 2028. So we are going to work on building some muscle now. Of course, you're going through the reverse diet. Then we will settle a little bit at maintenance, but we want to focus on being a little bit more specific again with working on specific muscle groups, right? For a year. And then you said you want to do another photo shoot. So maybe we could pair that with
Yeah.
competition on stage,
Well,
potentially.
and I love this photographer so much. I was like, I will be back. And then yeah, so I think next time it'll be the photo shoot and because so I guess just bringing it background, I was hesitant to sign up for a competition because I didn't think my legs could get shredded. So my upper body is lean,
Yep.
and everybody comments on like I can see muscles in my arms and my abs, but I've never really seen them pop out in my legs
Mm.
before this preparation. So now that I know they can do that, maybe I won't be as shy about a competition. But yeah, it did make me think. My boyfriend was even like, well, maybe you can do one. What bodybuilding shows are coming up like next
He
weekend?
looked it up or what? He looked it up.
Yeah.
Nice. Let's
He's like,
just
oh,
sign
well,
you
we'd
up.
have to go. He's like, we'd have to go like right now.
We have to leave.
Yeah. So,
Amazing. That's
yeah.
so
So
amazing.
everything, like all the stress and kind of like a little bit of dread that I had the week of just was all immediately switched when I
Mm.
was at the photo shoot. She made me feel so comfortable. I felt so comfortable in, no clothes, right? And now I'm, just, yeah, it all turned out, yeah, more than I could have asked for.
I'm so, 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 so happy that you went all in. You invested in yourself. You committed to the photo shoot preparation that you said already started 1.5 years ago. So it was a very long-term project. And I think that's one thing that probably not a lot of women do. That's definitely something that made you makes you special and gave you the results that you got is that long-term thinking, because right now you're already thinking about 2028, right? That's like in 2 years from now. But that's how you get those results. And talking about the lean legs, lean and defined legs, whenever you are going through that kind of prep and that kind of leanness, it really stacks, it really adds up. So the next time you are going to lean out, you will get even better results. Also, because we, of course, know what works and what doesn't for you specifically, but
Hmm.
also because you got rid of some body fat there in that area, which was there for a pretty long time. So now it's like maintaining a great shape for the next year and then repeating that process again. So so
Can't
so
wait.
so so stoked. Thank you, Erin, for the interview today. Thank you for taking the time. I'm very much excited for everything that's coming now. Reverse diet is not always the easiest phase because kind of the stress falls. It's like getting off our shoulders. We're getting to eat more, but not immediately like the actual food that we need. So I'm very much looking
Mhm.
forward to working on that with you in the next couple of weeks, and then fueling you for those hard training sessions that you love, because in the gym you're definitely a beast. And
Yeah.
then mapping out the 2028, yeah, 2028
Yeah.
goals.
We have a plan. Yeah, I'm looking forward
Yes.
to all of it, and I'm excited it was fun to get to talk a little bit about it. So,
Thank you very much.
more to come.
Yes, 100%. Sending a lots of love to you. Until next time. Bye bye.
Thank you, Dagana. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.